As wargamers and role-playing gamers, tabletop gamers who make terrain, sometimes when we paint and build stone, it can get a bit grey. Probably the only time there's been this much grey in one place is in John Major's wardrobe. And there's a up-to-date reference for you kids. Hello and welcome to the Bat and Barrel and something a little bit different. It's a sort of terrain video, but we're not going to build anything, we're just going to be painting some stuff. Yes, what I want to do this year on the channel is when I make terrain videos, I don't want to do tutorials as such. I want to just show you the build, and if there is a tutorial, I want to refer to a video and to go, I don't want to keep going over here's how I paint stone, here's how I paint wood. So what these little videos are going to be about, sort of covering that, so I can refer to them in the videos. So this will be the first one, and it's all about painting grey stone, but making it slightly better than what we normally do when we paint grey stone. Paint it grey, dry brush it, a light grey, dry brush it, tan, wash it, and yeah, okay. So my cat is sitting right in front of the mic. Hello. He's probably better at speaking than me. I should actually just let my cat do the waffle intros. Yeah, so what we're going to do is paint some stone. One of the things I am inspired by this tutorial is castles where I live. They're not grey, they're this sort of sandy browny sort of colour, and to me that's more realistic. Painting grey is a very wargamey sort of thing. When we ever do stone buildings, it's always a grey colour with dry brushes. But as you can see from these sort of pictures here of the castle near where I live, they're not that colour at all. So that's what we're mimicking. And so let's try the first method. Now, straight up, I'm going to say this is a failure, but I'm including it in the video because the actual end result was quite good. It was just too grey for me. So if you want to do standard grey stone, perhaps use this method because it looks really nice and detailed. My plan throughout this year is to also build a Wizards Guild set of buildings, and so I ordered this one from Citurdes, and it's a shame they're going out of business, but I got hold of this one just before stock runs out. And the bottom part is stone, and it comes pre-grey, as you've seen with my Citurdes buildings elsewhere on the site. And so, as a base, that's already done. If it's not, yours isn't grey, whatever you're doing, perhaps you're using foam, just undercoat it in a grey. I'm going to use this coat of arms bestial brown. It's a sort of mid-tone brown. And I'm going to water it down and just sort of wash it over random bricks in just on all sides of the wall, doing quite a few of them. Next up, I am going to do something very similar with this Bane Blade Brown from Citadel Paints. Again, it's watered down and just picking out random bricks all over the wall surfaces. Next, I wanted to get some dark brown bricks on, and so I am using this Zygor brown contrast paint, and again watering it down just to get some dark brown bricks on. In my mind at this stage, I'm thinking this isn't going to be grey, this is going to look like that sandstone I showed earlier on, as I'm using a lot of browns. Once all those browns have dried, I'm going to come in with this Horsetone Rowan from Coat d'Arms, and I'm going to dry brush this over the entire piece. Referring back to my original inspiration, the castle, you can see most of the time mortar isn't black. For some reason we sort of undercoat in black and then dry brush greys over it, and that gives the effect that mortar is black, and I don't want that. So to remedy that, I'm going to come down with a really watery wash of this Usapi bone, bleach bone in old Citadel coloured names, and I'm going to wash this all over, really making sure this is mainly to get it into the gaps in between the bricks where the mortar would be. Once that dries, you can see the result here. It's looking good, but it needs a final dry brush just to bring out the colours. When you do a wash, you tend to mute down any of the colours, so I just want to make things pop again. I'm going to use this really light grey. This is called Urban Grey. It's a tester paint pot from Wilkinson's. Just that dry brush it and pick out the highlights, and it's looking really good at this stage, but I need to add a bit of shade and a bit of grime to it. So all around the places where there's like a door frame, a window frame, and where the walls sort of meet and sort of bang round, I'm going to come in with some black wash. You can use any black wash for this. No oil, probably, if you've got that, most likely. I'm going to use some homemade wash for this. Now for some grime. For this, I'm going to use a contrast paint, and I am going to use Plague Bearer Flesh, watered down, massively watered down. You could of course use perhaps something like a green shade or some browns. Just grime it up where you think wear and tear would occur. Perhaps looking at some reference photos to get an idea of where this sort of thing happens. And once that's dry, it's done. I painted a few other test pieces of different materials just to see how it takes. And it was at this stage, whilst I really was happy with the end result, it looked really good, better than any standard grey brick I've done before. It just wasn't the end look I wanted for. So with this, I moved on to trying to find that recipe that would work for me. And so I painted a few test pieces up of just I had some textured cards, and I'm going to paint some test pieces up. I won't bore you with all the different ones. I'll share this one here. It's a reddish brown one that was just too reddish brown in the end, but it could be useful for someone. So really, it's using the same paints as before when I do the picking out different bricks and washes. The difference is, rather than starting with grey, I start with a raw sienna colour, and this is definitely not going to be any good, which you'll see at the end point here. It's just, but it might be useful to someone, so I might look at this and think, yes, okay, that's how I want a floor to look, walls to look, or what have you. So let's move on to the recipe that works. I'm going to base coat it straight away with like bleach bone. Here I'm using a tester paint pot that I found at Matches called Ahoy from Wilkinson's, but it's just that kind of cream colour, so we are going to start with that. And now for the bricks, I'm also going to change up the colours we use for the bricks. Bane Blade Brown stays, I like that, but we're going to switch out the other browns. I'm going to use Zandri Dust, and then a matching, I found a colour that matches Horse Tone Rowan, which is like a khaki colour, and I'm going to use that as my third brick colour. So with this, it's an undercoat of the cream, then picking out the bricks in the aforementioned colours. And it's here we get to another change, the wash stage. Instead of using the cream that we had done before, it's already got the cream in the mortar. I just wanted to dull that down to make it look a bit more yellowy browny, so I'm going to use this Talon Sand from Citadel to perform the wash on. And then what I do here is, once it's dry, I try and do two different dry brushes. One dry brush in like a bleach bone cream over it, and another section just dry brushing a Horse Tone Rowan over it. And what I've decided is to just stick with the Horse Tone Rowan. That is my favourite one out of these. And so now looking at this, I am really happy with this, and it's time to put that to the test on the observatory piece from earlier. So first stage is to paint over, and I was really worried here because I did genuinely like the grey, sort of how it looked, but I knew I didn't want it grey, so I painted it over using the cream, and then proceeded to pick out the bricks in the different colours as we've done before, and then give it a wash in that Zandri Dust, Talon Sand, and then dry brushing. And whilst I have, and applying the black wash around places, and I am stoked with how good this looks. It looks great. And now looking at my shelf of buildings, just looking at the sea of grey, I know I want to get rid of that, and that is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to paint up various different buildings, and I'm loving the outcome. I haven't totally finished yet, I've got a few more to do, but I'm loving the outcome. My castle keep piece, I always detested that dark grey I painted, whereas now I think it looks spectacular. I am really happy with it. The old Warhammer Fortress, again, it looked okay, grey, but a bit dull. I added some browns into this one when I painted it back in the day, so it broke up that grey, but now, again, it matches the castle keep and looks great, so I can use that in conjunction with each other. One of the things I found when I painted the Greystone doing test pieces is the Hearst art. I painted a watchtower, which I won't show you here, and it just didn't look good. That's probably one I'm not going to show you, so I was a bit apprehensive, but I thought I'd jump straight in with both feet and paint up the tavern. And as you can see, again, I'm really happy with how it looks. It looks lovely. I painted up the Zeturdis watchtower here, and I knew that would be okay because it's not much different to the observatory. And I also painted up one of my phone buildings just to see how it takes, and it all looks good. So in the future, when I refer to stone, painting stone, I will be sort of linking this video in. I'll just refer to this, and you can paint whichever colour stone you prefer. But that's it for this tutorial video. Thank you for watching. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you've got any other stone recipes that you paint your stonework up to break up that monotony of that sea of grey, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be interested to see. But until the next video, guys, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.